Good morning, everybody. So, to my viewers among my fellow Americans, how's the government shutdown treating you? Hopefully you felt no real hardship from it. And to my viewers from outside the U.S., how does all this look to you guys? Hopefully you're at least enjoying a good hearty laugh at our expense, because we deserve it. Especially if we wind up tanking the world economy again. The following calls are taken from editions of Mail Call, printed in the Herald-Mail from September 30th to October 11th, 2013, which can be read online in their entirety at www.heraldmailmedia.com. First up from Hagerstown. Well, I see where the congressman from California, Darrell Issa, is at it again. Little known fact here, he is trying to pass a bill to stop postal delivery. Not just on Saturday, but stop it, period. People don't know this. I mean, I know I live in a Republican district, but think about this, friends, Washington Countyans. You're going to vote Republican next year, and these people are going to vote, and it could pass, and you won't get your mail. Think about when you vote. Don't vote just because there's an R there. Well, no, don't vote just because there's an R next to someone's name. Vote because you have genuine contempt for the less fortunate. Vote because you care nothing about the well-being of your fellow citizens or about how your country is perceived by the world community. Vote because your concept of freedom includes nothing short of being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, regardless of the broader consequences of your actions. Vote because you genuinely believe that private for-profit businesses, freed from the burden of government regulation, will look out for your best interests as a consumer. See, there are lots of reasons to vote Republican, other than the R. All these liberals who want to transform America, I believe you're not liberals at all. I think you're socialist Marxists. If you believe this country is so broken and so disgusting, then leave. North Korea, Cuba, Russia, Syria, that all sounds good to me. You have no idea what freedom means. What hypocrites. Clear Spring. Nice. Of course, I could just as easily turn this around on a conservative like yourself, who is apparently bitter over having been born into a social species. I could say something like, you know, if the prospect of universal health care is so disgusting and offensive to you, why don't you just move to another country that doesn't have it? Like, for instance, Haiti, or Bolivia, or, hell, just throw a dart at a map of Africa. No government breathing down your neck, all the freedom you want, for as long as you survive to enjoy it. Advertised, kids eat free. Kids eat free and they leave half of the food there wasted. Why not 85 years and older eat free, and they clean up all their food? We older people would appreciate that very much. Hagerstown. Right, because senior citizens always clean up their plates at restaurants. They never get halfway done and then start whining about how the portions are so big. Nope, that never ever happens. I know when I get old, I'll never do that. President Obama gives me a pain. On top of being arrogant, he thinks that every idea he's got is the greatest idea in the world, whether anybody else likes or not. Then if they don't like his idea, he'll shove it through anyway. And anybody that's against him, the first thing he says is they're out to get him or they don't like him. But that's not the way it is. We can't all feel the same way about things, and I think the Republicans are doing a good thing in wanting to keep our budget down. Sharpsburg. I'm sure you're right. It's not that the Republican Party is being dominated by a faction of anti-government obstructionists who have relentlessly demonized and demagogued Obama for years, no matter what he did. It's simply an honest disagreement between decent, reasonable people who just don't feel the same way about things. And the Civil War was fought over states' rights. I'm calling in regard to the food stamp program. I don't understand why people on food stamps do not understand the meaning of the word supplemental. Food stamps were meant to supplement your budget. You are supposed to have a budget for food. At the most, it will cover 50% of what you're going to spend in a month. Nobody should expect to get 100% of their groceries paid for. Washington County. For most people who receive them, food stamps do merely supplement their budget. They also work. In fact, in families with children that receive food stamps, it's not uncommon at all for both parents to work. And they still struggle to make ends meet. And they need a little help, often for just a short period of time. And isn't it nice that we live in a generous and compassionate country where people in that difficult situation can receive the assistance they need through a government program like SNAP without being made to feel guilty for being poor by people who have more than they do? Because it would be really, really shitty if we didn't live in that kind of a country. Wouldn't it? This is in reference to the Washington County Library. I guess you can't call it the Washington County Free Library anymore because you're going to charge for parking. Thanks for nothing. Hagerstown. The books are still free to borrow, hence the name, and you only get charged for parking if you park there longer than 2 hours. And that's meant to discourage people from parking there all day and to make the library lot more accessible to library patrons who want to park there instead of having to park on the street where they will be charged for parking no matter how long they hang around. It's nice to see the people of Hagerstown receiving their beautiful brand new public library with just the sort of grateful, positive attitude I expected. Good work, Republicans. Keep it up. I am one happy Democrat watching you self-destruct. Smithsburg. You know, watching the Republican Party self-destruct would be a lot easier to enjoy if they weren't trying to pull the rest of the world down with them. I would much, much rather have a Republican Party composed of intelligent, reasonable conservatives, which can exist in theory, than the bunch we have now who would rather burn down the dealership than drive a car with some options they don't like. By the way, is anybody else worried that if this government shutdown runs on too much longer, we will exhaust all of our metaphors for describing what selfish, destructive, immature pricks these guys are? I pay my bills, live within my means, and act responsibly. For that, Democrats call me an extremist. Halfway. No, they don't. Shut the fuck up. This is on the government shutdown. For one thing, I don't blame the Republicans, I blame the Democrats, as well as the Republicans. This president we have in the U.S. and this Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, they are the three worst people I've seen in the government. It's either their way or no way. So I say it's not the Republicans. The American people don't want Obamacare. If Obamacare is so good, then why don't the federal government and the unions want to take Obamacare? Hagerstown. If the Affordable Care Act is so bad, and so many of the American people don't want it, then why did so many millions of them vote to re-elect the president who signed it and made it the signature accomplishment of his first term instead of the guy running against him who campaigned on a promise to repeal it? Look, the people don't control the government through opinion polls. They control the government through elections. We had an election. The side that favored healthcare reform won. If the Republicans want to be sore losers about it, that should be their problem, not everyone's problem. Pass the goddamn continuing resolution and fund the government. The Tea Party types in Congress say, well, we need to get something out of this. Fine, let's give them something. Include a measure in that continuing resolution to put aside a weekly stipend to pay for a round of beers for them all to fucking cry in. Or better yet, a whole bunch of these. You'll notice it's empty. No formula. I'm broke, and the WIC office has been closed for 2 weeks. The flack over Obamacare covers up a greater problem. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. If the president can't balance the budget and control the Federal Reserve, he doesn't deserve to be in the White House. Where's President Andrew Jackson when we need him? Hagerstown. Well, Jackson died in 1845, so... Although who knows, maybe there's a heaven, and maybe he's up there right now, forcibly displacing choirs of angels from their ancestral lands. And finally, from halfway, typically I pay $73.60 each day in taxes. I have no objection to paying these taxes because I get tremendous benefits from them. But why should I pay for a government that is not functioning? To keep that non-functioning government from going into default when it also fails to raise its own debt ceiling? The Tea Partiers in Congress have taken their hostage. Now the question is, will they shoot it? Stay tuned to find out. Thanks for watching.